Hey, welcome back. Beth Reese, the Amazing Way podcast. And I'm here with Rebecca Connors, Montessorian extraordinaire and currently head of a school. And we were just visiting about how this idea of yoga on and off the mats and really helping to impact our lives and the choices we make day to day. And Rebecca, you said something that really got me thinking, and I've actually been thinking a lot about it today, how this path it isn't overnight that like we wake up and all of a sudden we're calm, right? It's like, it's practice. It's practice. It's practice. I know I can share last night, I really lost it with my kids. I think I dropped the F-bomb but what was distinct was that instead of me being pissed for like an hour or more than that, it was very short. Like it happened. I noticed that I had lost it. I noticed how angry I was. And I said, you know what? I just need, and my sweet youngest daughter, Grace, was like, Mom, is it still available for you to watch a movie with us? I'm so calm, right? You know, Grace.
Yeah.
And it was like, and in that moment, like I was still so angry. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to experience this. I'm not going to stuff it. I'm going to experience it. And I'm not going to let it take me off the court. I'm not going to let it ruin a night with my kids. And I hear in your story, Rebecca, both leading up to finding how yoga heals at Yoga on the Brazos, and then taking it off the mat with your own healing, how really the sum of just the time that you've practiced has really made a difference.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah, and thinking about how then that works with kids, with teachers, with parents. I know as a parent, we can often be loads of fun. But tell us, if you would, a little bit about so what was it like? So you're doing yoga and then you come to Yogiños, Yoga for Youth training, and then you go back to the school. And what does that look like in your school when you first brought yoga into your school?
So it was summer, which was perfect because there was, the pressure was off as far as academics. It was just, we were still academic, but less pressure. And so what I did was I carved out I think it was a Tuesday, and I taught every child in the school yoga. So I would start at 9 a.m. and finish at like 1, because I started with toddlers and went all the way through the lower elementary children that we had there for the summer. And I wrote out a curriculum, which was part of the training. And the whole summer, I did this for I believe it was 8 weeks. And the whole summer, my theme was on basically traveling the world going to the beach, different places. And even the toddlers got the class, although theirs was a lot shorter because their attention span is shorter. And for example, for toddlers, I put all these yoga mats in a circle and got there on one, and they were on theirs. And when we were surfing and I was playing, or we were doing the warrior pose, but it was, for those guys, it was surfer pose because we were, in the ocean. And so I was playing the Beach Boys, and now I'm forgetting the song.
Like Surfing USA.
That's it, Surfing USA. So one of them hops off the mat and goes between my Warrior 2 legs. And so then the other one's like, oh, I can do that. So then I have surfer train, I guess you want to call it. And they're
surfboard.
Yeah, and they're going through my legs. But anyway, this is what it looked like, right? The older children, though, loved it. And when I asked them, as we were going through the summer, like after the second week or so, I would, at the end of class one day, I said, hey, what was your favorite part? When we took a nap. So that told me that children are craving calm. Yes. So I was even more inspired to bring this calm to children. Of course, one of the very first things I remember learning and still use to this day is, for helping children to learn to calm, is the flower power breath.
Yes.
I have made it my mission. Every single child in my current school, I have taught them the flower power breath. I have been using it most recently with a little boy. anything to help him calm. He's clearly, he makes this face, and when he makes that face, I'm like, oh no. and I just want to help him calm.
Rebecca, would you be willing to teach that right here, right now, for anyone who doesn't yet know about Flower Power?
I would love to teach that. Yes, awesome. Yes. So, for example, this little guy, he's really angry, and he's a new student, so he has not yet had the Flower Power breath lesson. I mean, literally, he's been in the school for 2 weeks. So he was very upset the other day. I was called in to intervene because he was really, really, really upset to the point of some destructive behavior. And I went in and I just kneeled down beside him and I looked in his eyes and I said, I see that you're really upset. I see it. And I want to help you. And he's like confused because I'm pretty sure nobody's ever talked to him like that. And he's like, what? I said, I want to help you. And I said,
wait a minute, you're not yelling at me?
Yeah. And I
you're
said,
not, right?
Exactly. I mean, I'm literally just there, just trying to be there with him in that moment because he is clearly distraught. Something has happened. I wanted to understand it. And I said, I want to talk about this. And first, let's try to take this angry face off and just get a calm, happy face. So I said, let's get a flower. And I showed him, I said, there's this great way. It's called Flower Power Breath. So, and he's 5. So easily I said to him, okay, let's just for the sake of, privacy, his name is John. It's not. So I said, John, let's reach into this flower garden right here and bring out a flower and bring it up to your nose. And now let's breathe it. Now, okay, everybody make the face. He's really mad, right? He's got the little 11s right here. And he's so mad. So and I said, okay, breathe in through your nose. Smell it, smell it, smell it, smell it. Now let it go. It took 3 times, but he got it. The 3rd time, the 11s went away.
Yes.
And I will have to say, this is the first child since I've been practicing Flower Power since 2011, that it took 3 times. So that's telling me that high achiever, these children, and it's going to take a little more to reach them, right? Than just simply talking. They need the tools that yoga off the mat can bring them. And that is, Flower Power is a super, super great one. It's one that I use daily. Is it okay to also share another tool that I use that I also learned from my amazing friend, Beth? So that lovely Hoberman sphere, or as I call it in my office, I call it the breathing ball, and it sits on a high shelf. So when children come in, it's not like I'm giving it to them to play, but this same child comes in, and I'll give you an example. Yesterday, another time where I had to actually remove him from the classroom, brought him to my office, and I sat him down next to me. This is something too. I no longer sit across from the children. I put them next to me and I get really close. And I said, I can see how upset you are. And I'm upset too, because that behavior is not okay. It's dangerous to you and others. And I need to breathe. And so I took the ball and I stretched it, but only about right there. And I said, oh, I can't breathe. I'm stuck. And he's looking at me like, you're crazy. And I said, I got to try again. And so I did it again. And I said, I'm stuck. And finally on the 3rd time, and literally I was stuck. Like I was feeling stress inside of myself because I knew that I needed to help him calm down for his own safety and those others. So finally on the 3rd time, I was able to expand, not all the way. And I think for him to see me in that capacity where I was showing my own vulnerability, that he was then able to do. And I said, I don't know, do you want to turn now? Do you feel like you can breathe? And so he went like this. And I said, okay, that's great. Now let's try one more time, but let's only breathe through the nose. And so we did. And then I said, do you remember the Flower Power breath? And you've got the flowers in your back pocket. Can you pull one out and try that now? And he did. Finally, we were able to get to the trigger. And the trigger was the teacher lined the children up to go outside and play. And it started to pour down rain. And they couldn't go. So my yoga off the mat because there was nothing physical about that, minus the obviously breathing is physical. However, it really helped to connect with this little boy. And part of yoga obviously is the connection, right, of the body and the mind and the spirit. And so that yoga practice, ahimsa, do no harm. We were doing no harm to him. It worked.
Yeah, and there's a couple things I want to unpack about that experience that are so powerful, and what I hear is like a lot of Montessori and also a lot of yoga. And when we think about, the definition of yoga is to yoke, to connect, unite, and like there were so many steps there, Rebecca, and so much that I've learned from you and working about how to work with children, and it would work with adults too. So everything from you started by coming out from behind your desk, right, and being with him. So sort of disrupting that power play of like, obviously you're head of school, so you're kind of a rock star, but coming to meeting him where he was, right? So that's huge.
Yes.
And I think as parents and teachers, even just that child who's upset, to come down and really like be with them, right, on their physical level, can take away a lot of like the I'm me and you're you, and we're not really connected. Right. So I love that.
Yeah.
What I also heard, Rebecca, was, and I think is so powerful, and I'm really striving to do this, with my own kids and with people I work with, is you allowed yourself to be vulnerable, and you allowed him to see, this is what it looks like to be an adult, and I'm upset too, right? That this is what it looks like, and that you can be upset because emotions aren't right or wrong, they just are, and that you can be upset and still have that feeling in a way that doesn't have you making choices that are unsafe. Yes. And I just really think all of that was just so beautiful, and so much we can learn and take from that in really practicing that yoga off the mat and being connected to people.
Right. And I feel too that through that there was an awareness established. There was some mindfulness, which equals to the empathy, because when he said, after the breathing, I said, so what happened for you to be so upset? And he said, I want to go outside. And I said, me too. But look, I think it's raining. And he said, I don't think so. And I said, well, how about we go look? And we literally walked down the hall. We looked out the door, and he said, it's not raining. I said, no, what does it look like now? And he said, well, it's wet and muddy. And I said, oh, well, I don't know about playing in the wet and the mud. What do you think? And he said, no. So if I had not had these years behind me and had the experiences of working with Yogiños, Beth, and my own personal journey too as an adult yogi, I don't know that I could have connected with that child, and it would have been really easy for me to exert my will over him and my power, right? Because I'm physically bigger, I've been around a lot longer, and I could outsmart him if I really wanted to. However, that is not the way I roll, number one, and it feels so good to make these connections with these children, because I did talk to his dad. I talked to his dad. I said, I need some history. I need to understand. I need to you to help me reach him so he can be successful. And even his dad was very closed, and his shoulders were hunched. I think he was afraid I was going to say he's going to be kicked out. And of course I didn't. I said, help me help him. And his dad said, I can't believe you could reach him. He said, sometimes I can't. And we talked about what some strategies were that we use at school, what he can do at home. And I offered to him too, because I do have a yoga class at school. And I said, I would love it if you would consider signing him up for the physical yoga class. I think that might help him. So awesome. We're hoping, fingers crossed, that he does.
So great. So great. So, we've talked and we've said the word Montessori probably, 50 times, maybe more. It's something certainly that I believe in. One of my first educational memories or memories of being in school was at a Montessori school when I was 4 years old. and Blythe Lenning brought in a bumblebee and everything stopped, so that we could look at this bumblebee, really like putting the learner's idea first. And we explored and we named the parts of the bee, and then we let the bee go, right? So it's my first educational experience that has led me to have my kids in Montessori school. Obviously, I worked with you at a Montessori school. So Rebecca, I wonder if you would be willing to share a little bit about what Montessori is, just some other ways that maybe parents out there could weave it into their own lives. And then if you'd like to say anything about your school, I'd love to hear it.
Sure. Thank you. So, Montessori, wow. It's,
I know it's like we could spend 10 hours talking about it.
Yeah. If you Google it, it's like 1,000 pages. So in a nutshell, Montessori is a way of connecting with children. It is a method and philosophy of working with children of where we teach to the child and not the group. We're not teaching to a class, we're teaching to a child. It's a very individualized learning opportunity for children. The communities are set up where the children are multi-age. So in the school I work in, this class, like this little boy's in, the children are from 3, 4, 5, and 6 years old. So it's a community, and it lends itself to children learning on an academic level really quickly, because these younger little friends are watching the older ones going, hey, I can do that. So they aspire to be what these older children are. Older children are, I've already been there and done that. Come on, let me show you how it's done. And they're confident, standing tall little leaders of their community, very outspoken. The Montessori children, yeah, academics are there. However, anybody that knows me, and I know you do, Beth, that my mantra is that if your child leaves our school as a socially acceptable member of society, we've done our job.
Yeah.
So the social emotional is number one, because a child who is socially and emotionally secure is open to learning, and we can teach them anything.
Yep.
We can teach them anything. And we do. Let me just tell you, it's amazing. It's very amazing. My school is Sugar Creek Montessori School in Katy, and it's a beautiful school. It's been there for 12 years. I was with the same group of Montessori schools for 28 years. So this is new for me. Been there for 18 months. I did like a midlife job change, not career. Well, I guess it kind of was a career change, because I stepped down from being the manager of 13 schools to just one, which is great. And I reconnected, and I reconnected with my integrity to my belief in Montessori and myself. I'm able to bring yoga in and bring it to every single child, which is so fantastic. And the parents appreciate it. What else was I going to say about Montessori? Because, I can just go on and on and on. Yeah. Just,
beautiful.
It really is about, Dr. Montessori said that, the hands are the instrument of the mind, and anything that the hand touches, the mind remembers. So I know people have heard that. That was Dr. Montessori.
Yes.
And on my bucket list is to go see that first school in Rome.
Let's do it.
It opened in 1907. So
we could have an amazing way, journey and go see it, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Well, Rebecca, I feel like there's so much more I'd like to visit with you about, including, and I'd love you to come back sometime and even talk about what it was for you to change jobs and change, you were with a company, one organization for a long time. And when you said, to what I heard was like, restore your integrity, kind of like Dr. Montessori has children restoring the environment, but to really create the space around you to really live your most authentic self. Yes. And I think for a lot of us who may be, at even 50 or 60, whatever, but to whatever age, 30, to really be in that space to get that maybe there's a different path to take, right? So maybe you'll come back and visit with us about that, and we'll hear more about how you're implementing yoga on and off the mats in your school.
Love to. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, Rebecca, thank you for being here. You have been not only a really dear friend, and I know I just an amazing and I sort of joke when I use the word boss, so that you are my boss, but such an amazing mentor. And a quick sort of funny story, I'll tell one on myself, and you probably remember this. So the job was huge for me to be head of a school. I felt like I'd really bit off a lot. And I remember I was probably about 2 weeks in, and I just felt really overwhelmed. And you called me and said, you know what, go home. And in fact, stay home tomorrow because I love you. And you said, are you like jumping off the ledge? Are you like going to quit? And I was like, no, I'm not going to quit. You were like, okay, good. We'll take a day and just relax. And I'll see you on Thursday. And it was one of the most loving spaces that someone could have created. Just to confirm that I was loved and supported and that I had it. Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me. I love talking this. I can talk Montessori and yoga all day long.
Yeah, me too.
Passions.
Me too. All right.
Passions. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, we'll see you next time then.
Okay.
Okay.